I have always loved monsters. As far back as I can remember, my imagination has been filled with all kinds of creatures, both terrifying and fantastic. As a young child, I would draw monsters, tell scary stories, and read about any book featuring creatures of horror or mythical beasts. And this loving fascination has not died down much over the years. For your viewing and listening pleasure, I have gathered here a list of my top 10 favorite D&D monsters. These are creatures that, as a DM, I love to run. They have great mechanics and great themes and are altogether unforgettable.
The top 10 Dungeons & Dragons monsters!
Number 10, the Willow-wisp.
Something about the concept of glowing orbs that lure travelers to a murky demise in the marsh has always appealed to me. The Willow-wisp lies between a fairy and a ghost, both of which I love.
Number 9, the imp.
The pit fiend may be mighty, and the succubus deathly alluring, but the imp has always had a special place in my heart. Maybe it's because he's the littlest of the devils. I like to imagine what it must be like, being an imp in the society of the Nine Hells. You live in a merciless, domination-oriented tyranny in which only the coldest hearts and cruelest wielders of both physical power and infernal law succeed, stepping on the heads of others, only to find a new place under the boot of the next highest rank of devil. And you are an imp, a 3-foot-tall devil used as a spy or a messenger. For me, the imp has always offered interesting role-playing opportunities. Their invisibility power gives them the ability to escape battles in which the PCs slay the more powerful devils, and linger around, interacting with the PCs, possibly over extended periods of campaign, and the PCs will never fully be able to trust that imp.
Number 8, the spider.
I really like all kinds of giant vermin, but spiders definitely are the top. Stealthy, mobile, emotionless hunters. They have deadly poison and spin, trapping webs. Not to mention they are creepy. Spiders work great at all levels and in all sorts of terrain. The most common ones are probably like jungle and forest and swamp spiders and cave spiders. But there can also be burrowing desert spiders or woolly tundra spiders or even colossal mountain spiders that spin webs between peaks. They just make all around great monsters.
Number 7, the Oni.
I've always felt that there was a lack of Japanese mythology in D&D, so the Oni is one of those rare exceptions where Eastern lore inspires Western fantasy. These iconic monsters not only look really cool, but they have a mix of magic powers and physical combat abilities, so it's really great. Oni normally have powers that let them escape a losing fight, making them good recurring adversaries. So I like recurring monsters because, unlike your typical chump monster who dies a nameless, purposeless failure, long-lasting monsters can become part of the campaign's story, and therefore part of the characters' lives.
Number 6, the Aboleth.
If you haven't noticed by now, I really like monsters that are a mix of multiple elements. Imagine big, half-fish, half-amphibian creatures that live in deep, cavernous lakes. Now imagine that they have 3 eyes that run vertically up their heads. Also imagine they are touched by the far realm, and they wield alien psychic powers, and they can dominate and even enslave foes. Add in some foul slime coating, and you really just have one big bad guy. Aboleths are awesome because they combine 3 cool monster archetypes into one. Aquatic monster, the Underdark monster, and a mastermind overlord monster.
Number 5, hags.
There are lots of types of hags, but they're all nasty and magical. They fill a great fantasy niche, the evil witch. However, one of the greatest features of a hag is her power to take on the appearance of a young woman. But either way, whether in young seductive woman form or in old gnarly hag form, they just make for great role-playing fun. I always get such pleasure out of acting out a hag as she interacts with the PCs. The characters might need something from her, or perhaps they just came across her secluded hut in the wilderness, and they just keep getting this nagging impression that this lady is more than what she appears to be, but she just won't come out and say it. It's kind of like one of those old folk tales when people barter with the devil. It's a gamble. It has tension and trickery, and at the heart of it all, mischievous to malicious fey magic. Always good.
Number 4, Gelatinous Cube.
One of the all-time greatest moments for me as a DM occurred earlier this year. I finally got to say these words. All you feel is a sickly numb, all of your body, as you are slowly eaten away inside of the gelatinous cube. Oozes in general have always been favorite monsters of mine. Goopy, slimy, formless puddles slurping their way along cavern floors, walls, and ceilings, mindlessly consuming organic matter to add to their flowing form. Oozes are one of the kinds of creatures that you can just make seemingly endless iterations of. There's green oozes, gray oozes, ochre jelly, black pudding, tapioca terror, putrescent porridge, sludge of slaughtering, goop of annihilation. Anyways, the Gelatinous Cube definitely takes the prize as the best of the D&D oozes.
Number 3, Vampire.
In an age where vampires have been perverted and twisted into emo, glitter, tweeny, bop romance novel status, I find great comfort in knowing that somewhere out there, in my fantasy world of Esperia, vampires are still evil, undead, blood-drinking, coffin-dwelling badasses that will take possession of your mind and then force you to fight against your own allies as he drains their lives away in the dungeon of his castle. Vampires are often bosses, like big bosses. You just don't walk into a vampire's lair and then kill him and be done with it. You have to put some serious commitment into taking down a vampire permanently. And you know he isn't going to go down like some little who got grounded and missed the Twilight premiere. And this inevitably leads me to my next monster.
Number 2, the Lich.
If you thought a vampire was hard to kill, you might just want to retire if you are tasked with defeating a Lich. High-powered spellcasters make great villains, and of course, undead are always cool, but mix these two elements together, along with the fact that unless you find a Lich's phylactery and destroy it within a number of days, that bad boy is coming back for you. You won't know when, you won't know how, but remember this: you have got to go to sleep sometime. Like the vampire, a Lich is technically a template, which makes for all sorts of great creative customization. The thought of sitting down to design a wicked Lich NPC for a campaign is enough to make me laugh like a disgruntled employee who just found pictures of his boss making out with the copy machine. And now for my number 1 monster. It was so hard to pick a top monster for this list, and if I would have done this video a year ago or a year from now, the order might have been different, but here we go.
Number 1, the Beholder.
Beholders are horror, pure horror. Not only do these aberrant monstrosities look like something out of a nightmare, they are capable of single-handedly taking on an entire party of adventurers. Their array of eye rays has always captured my attention, especially when they start going off randomly. Oh, you started your turn, did you? Let's see what fun surprise you get. Oh, ray of disintegration, is it? Oh, noes. For a DM, Beholders are just so darn fun to run. I also get a big kick out of designing their layers to capitalize on the full spectrum of ray effects. Throw in a pit for characters to get tossed down a la telekinesis ray, or a pool of acid to restrain the fighter in via hold ray, and a couple of high-rising ledges for the Beholder to fly up to for protection, and you've got yourself an encounter. Well, that's it for now. I had a lot of fun making this list, but as fun as it was equally difficult. I really like so many different monsters, both published ones and ones I've designed myself. I know people will disagree with me on my choices or my ordering, but honestly, I think that's a good thing. That proves that D&D has great monsters with great variety and competitive status. Feel free to post some of your favorite D&D monsters in the comments below, and thanks to everybody for being part of the YouTube D&D community. I appreciate you all. Definitely keep watching and spread the word. Happy gaming.
Welcome back, Blue Wizard.